A popular activity for family gatherings is to gather around old photo albums, maybe watch home movies. A lot of times there's snickers and giggles about hairstyles, clothes, and eyeglasses. Comments made about how much weight has been lost, or usually how much has been gained. They're about special events and vacations, shots of little kids being silly, sometimes even grown adults acting stupid in front of the camera. Sights of family and friends long gone. The way we were, preserved for posterity. How far we've come, prompted by a moment of reflection. But reminiscing and remembering can be dangerous. To hearken back to another time, to revisit the land of the past, no matter how distant it may be, runs the risk of stirring up awkward and painful feelings, feelings of embarrassment or regret. Maybe the way we were wasn't so great, and how far we've come isn't as satisfying. There's certainly an element of that whenever we gather as a family of faith to celebrate the sacred mysteries. We begin not necessarily by reminiscing, but certainly by remembering and acknowledging the way we most recently have been living out our faith, bearing the burdens of our human nature. It isn't always where we should be. So we give ourselves over to something, someone greater. Grateful at how far God has brought us on the way of salvation. Praying God to see us through to where we ultimately want to be. And today, in the context of these sacred mysteries, we, in a particular way, gather as a family, commemorating the passing into glory of our Holy Father Benedict, celebrating his legacy. We are here, monks, oblates, students, alumni, friends, because we have responded in different ways and in different times to the voice of the Lord inviting us, giving ourselves over to something greater than our own plans and designs, to a rule, a little rule, directing us with the gospel as our ultimate guide on the way to eternal life. Each one of us has a story. Each one of us has memories, the photos and movies of the mind, if you will, of special occasions and moments of grace, and yes, of silly, stupid, and even sinful things we have done. With all that, we gather to honor him who continues to instruct us in the school of the Lord's service through a rule that is neither harsh nor burdensome, encouraging but also challenging, correcting but ever accepting and loving, coaxing, sometimes pulling us along the steps of humility, reminding us that while we will assuredly die to this life, we will certainly live unto eternity. Our coming together today on this solemnity of the Transitus of our Holy Father Benedict poignantly finds us approaching the threshold of the holiest of weeks, when in the most solemn of rituals we raise our gaze toward Jerusalem, toward the cross, ready to bask in the light of resurrection, And in so many gentle ways, Benedict reminds us that that's what it's all about. And we should prefer nothing whatsoever to Christ, especially as we stand ready to once more immerse ourselves in the great mystery of his passion and death and resurrection. Today, with the words of St. Paul, we recall the way we were. As he says, think of what you were when you were called. Not many were wise or influential or of noble birth, yet God chose the foolish, the weak, and the lowly. In this great act of thanksgiving, we rejoice in how far we've come, acknowledging that we still have a ways to go, heeding the instruction of the Master. So let us open our eyes to the light which comes from God, and our ears to the voice from heaven, never swerving from his precepts, so that we may deserve to see him who has called us to his kingdom. And gathered around this altar, never losing hope in God's mercy, we focus anew on where we're going, eating and drinking in memory of him who lived with us, suffered, died, and rose for us, so that what is not possible to us by nature may be supplied by the help of grace, and we may all come together to everlasting life.